Homage to the Venerable Monk Liaoning. Homage to Master Sakya Tsongkhong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Tupten Tachi. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice. Namo, the greatly merciful and compassionate Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Sumo, Tanchen Ketso, Tuten Siddhi. All Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma lecturers, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
I stayed. Sarange. Hola, amigo. Que quiero mucho. Skoin. Ichiba. Kimochi. Jumi. Yapi. Purin purin. Konbanwa.
This evening, we perform the group practice of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, Deity Yoga. And today is January 30th. January is almost gone. And the day after tomorrow, it'll be February. Time flies. Just after a few meals and a few nights of sleep, it's gone. A month is gone. Time really flies. But the coronavirus is very slow. Until now, it's still intermingling. I hope that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas be compassionate, and the Vajra and Dharma protectors be compassionate, and all the Devas, Devis be compassionate. That the sentient beings truly pitiful. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva and merciful and compassionate, and always provide salvation from suffering and calamities. Many people chant the epithet or the mantra of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, Guan Yin, and also the Mahakaruna Dharani of the 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. They're all very responsive. So Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva's salvation is the most So today we also hope
所有的观世音菩萨
that
显化
Avalokitesvara,
还有
all the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva would appear,
另外
and
还有
also many
千眼观世音菩萨，
Bodhisattva Bodhisattva,
希望他能够千眼
and also the 1,000 eyes and 1,000 arms Avalokitesvara, so that
众生
his 1,000 eyes can observe and his 1,000 arms can
在还没有
help.
千眼笑话。
Prior to the Dharma teaching, I would first tell a joke.
老师问同学：“各位同学长大后，
The
想
teacher
做什么
asked the students, so when you grow up, what would you want to do?
春娇同学站起来，
Student A stood up
他讲：
and
做
said,
警察，
I want to become a
老
policeman
百姓除暴安良。 一个叫做
to protect the people,
林
the common
良
people, from violence
站
and
起来，他讲
injustice.
做医生，
And student B
为
stood up
老
and
百
said,
姓
I want to become a doctor to treat the common
这叫
people.
壁雕。
And student C, all these strange names.
要做科学家，
He said he wanted to become a scientist to serve the common
老
people.
师就问小明
And the teacher asked Xiao Ming,
你呢？
how about you? What do you want to do?
答
And he
我要
replied,
做老百姓。
I want to become the common people.
大家都为老百姓。小明说
Because everybody is for the people, so Xiaoming wants to be the people, so he's quite smart. 可能是台湾的笑话比较听得懂， Maybe we can understand Taiwanese jokes
台湾
better.
比较听得懂。
The Taiwanese will understand better.
老人家讲，我有听过这个。
I've heard of this before. When we were little, we heard the elderly say
他就架着叶眼，
that the longer you hold the chopsticks, you would marry, the further away you would marry.
那么这位小姐以前就有远嫁国外的梦想，
And this lady wanted to marry very far away, maybe overseas. So she connected two chopsticks
这样来吃饭。
to eat.
没有想到长大以后，
And little did she know, when she grew up, she married
炸油条
someone who deep fried
你知道吗？
fried dough.
炸油条在台湾的炸油条，油在滚，
In Taiwanese, the oil would be boiling
它是
and then the
捏
dough
好，然后放
is already kneaded
这个油里面，
and then
这时候炸油条
placed inside the boiling oil. You cannot use short chopsticks. You need to use a very long chopstick to take the fried dough out.
在因果方面讲起来
So in terms of cause and effect,
是有道理，因果里
it makes sense.
也有所谓相似的因果，相似的因果。
There's a cause and effect that's similar.
嫁给长的筷子，
So you use long chopsticks, so you marry
这属于
the long
相似的
chopsticks.
因果，相似的因果。
So that's similar cause and effect. like last life,
偷人家的东西。
you like to steal other
每
people's
次
thing.
长大以后，
So in this
手
life,
是很痒，
when you grow up, your hands are always itching to steal.
但是你还是
Even
喜
when
欢
you're
偷人家的。
rich, you still like to steal.
这种因果是相似的因果。
So this kind of cause and effect is called the similar cause and effect.
当小偷，
Because resemblance, karma of resemblance. So in your past life you were a thief. So in this life, even when you're rich, you still like to steal.
但是他就喜欢偷人家的东西。
So even when he's not poor, he still likes to steal.
那么现在呢，进行
Now
你问
we will do the Q&A.
比利时
From
啊，比利时
Belgium.
在法国的边缘，
That's bordering on France,
莲花群英问的
asked by Lian Hua Qunyin.
至诚顶礼圣尊，莲生佛佛，阿弥陀佛。
Reverently homage to living Buddha Lian Sheng Amitabha.
堕入龙
Please
族
teach
的
us the cause and condition to downfall into the dragon clan.
不专
In
心
the Dragon King Sutra, as spoken by the Buddha, it mentioned
堕入
that not concentrating in listening to a guru teaching Dharma will result in a dragon clan.
加重
Grandmaster, is it restricted to only ordained gurus who are present in person, giving Dharma
出家
teaching?
众等
And does it
在
count
家观看网络直播，
to watching at home through the internet?
因为时差问题，
Because of time
观看
difference,
网络会东摸摸，西摸摸，
when I watch the webcast, I get distracted and fidget around to keep
因此我
awake.
开始
Otherwise, I would fall asleep.
莲花群英顶礼。这个堕入龙族的因缘，
The cause and condition to downfall into the dragon clan.
不
And
专
the
心
Dragon King Sutra spoken by the Buddha, it mentioned that not concentrating in listening to a Guru Dharma teaching will result
师佛
in the
实现
dragon clan.
出家众等亲临会场，
Is it restricted to only ordained gurus who are present in
其
person
实你讲
or also through the internet?
也就是讲说，是亲临
So what
会
you
场
were talking about.
还是看网络直播，
So to
大概就
be
是
present personally or over the internet? I think that's your question, right?
亲临会场，还是看网络直播，这两种。
So personally present or
那么
watching over the internet.
问一下各位，看网络直播跟亲临会场有不
Let
同
me ask all of you, is there any difference between being present
那个当释迦牟尼佛
in
说法的
person
时候
versus the internet? In the past, of course, during Sakyamuni Buddha, there was no webcast, right?
他的意思是问，亲临
The
会场
question
才算
is,
还是网络直播也算数？
does it count only to physical presence or over the internet too?
有没有人举手？
Anybody?
你们 怎么都不讲话呢？
How come nobody say anything?
好，
人生。
他回答这个问题，那
He answered.
看网络直播的听得到吗？
Can you hear it over the webcast?
要有麦克风。
He needs a microphone.
站起来的时候就要懂得把
If someone stands up, please pass the microphone to
我
him.
的看法是，应该是都一样的。
In my
因为
view, should be the same.
在家里面看网络直播的时候呢，一样都是以非常恭敬的心。
Because at home, when we watch over the webcast, we still use a very respectful mind
颂诗啊，我们都是跟
to
着
listen.
起立，跟着顶礼。
And we also stand up when we're supposed to and pay homage when we're supposed to.
其实会堕入龙族的，
Actually, the ones who downfall to the dragon clan should be Grandmaster. You know why?
因为我每一次在修法的时候，
Because every time during a Dharma practice, anytime I sit on this chair,
我就一定会那个不知道进到哪一个世界去，
I don't know which realm I would
我不知道进到
go
哪一个
to
世界去，
I don't know which realm I
然后数
entered.
人家全部都数完了，我才数一半。
Like counting the beads, people have finished and I only did half.
不知道是怎么回事
I don't know what happened.
我在那个山庄，那个
At the Rainbow Temple, the Dharma throne there, it didn't
瞌
happen.
睡虫马上
But
爬到我
here,
身上
the drowsiness immediately
我有打瞌睡吗？
climbed to me. Did I get drowsy tonight?
有钓鱼吗？你们那么多
Did I
人吗
fish?
没有，
No.
我相信我今天是没有钓的，
Yes, that's true. I did not.
我睡了，
Because this afternoon,
我有睡觉。
I slept. I took a
但
nap.
是坐在这个法座上面，好奇怪、啊
But，seated on this Dharma throne,
就马上
very strange.
就昏沉，
I would feel
到哪个世
drowsy
界去了。
and I would go to whichever realm.
这个谁呢？放瞌睡虫在这个椅子上，
Who placed the drowsy bugs on this chair?
我说法就好，
As soon as I give Dharma teaching, I'm fine.
马上就是
Otherwise,
还好，今天还是做得很深，
but today I'm still okay.
不然有的时候
I was still
真
very
的堕入
straight.
龙族。
Sometimes
哦，
I would.
这个佛陀不知道怎么讲，
I don't know what the Buddha said.
根本上是，然后不专心在修法。
I'm the lineage root guru that is not concentrating on the Dhamma practice. Will I fall into the dragon clan?
我是很喜欢睡觉的一个人，
I love to sleep.
很喜欢睡觉。
I love to sleep.
我坐在
Really love to sleep.
都会睡觉，
Whenever I'm seated on a
会
chair,
睡觉。
I would fall asleep. Sometimes even standing, I can fall
我
asleep.
能够睡。
And lying down, I can fall asleep.
我以前是失眠，
But do you believe it that I had insomnia before?
我以前是失眠，
Before, I had insomnia.
所以我看过失眠的这
That's why I have read a book about insomnia, this thick, the one that was given to me by one of the 4 great ladies. An insomnia person would be scared looking at the bed. And I use methods of spiritual cultivation to change it. And now I love to sleep. And I can sleep anytime, anywhere. I can sleep for the whole day. And even after whole night's sleep, I can still sleep for the whole day. I can sleep continuously. If I become a sage, I would be called the sleeping sage. I heard there was someone called Chen Xi that was the sleeping sage, and he could sleep for 3,000 years. I love to sleep. That's my specialty. I think what Lien Sung Master said was right. For me, it's not because of jet lag. On the plane, the same. I sleep from beginning to end until I arrive, and I just wake up to eat for dinners, for meals, and then I sleep again until I arrive. That's why when I get off the plane, my spirit is good. I remember the Buddha once said, when the Buddha was teaching the sutras, there was one of the disciples sleeping. And the Buddha said, if you continue to sleep, then in the future you will be reincarnated as a toad. In Taiwanese, called hama. Oh, hama in Taiwanese means a clam. So your shell's always closed and you're sleeping inside it, like a clam, a seashell, shellfish. So that disciple always kept his eyes open, never slept. And then he got blind, but he got the divine eye. And his name was Anani. So the Buddha once said, when you were falling asleep listening to the Buddha teaching the sutra, you would become a clam. And I am drowsy when I'm practicing. What would I become? I don't dare to think. But it only happens on Saturday night for me. Seated on this Dharma throne, it's so easy for me to get drowsy, but on other chairs I'm okay. So I would like to ask all of you, what would Grandmaster become? Would become a sleeping sage.
尔睡一下，我认为偶尔，你如果偶尔因为时差问题，
I think because
你
of the
睡一下，
time difference,
我认为是没有问题的。
if you just fall asleep for a little bit, it should be okay. But don't always fall asleep.
不要每一次都睡了，不会那么严重。
Don't fall asleep all the time.
堕入龙族也不错。
Actually, it's not so bad to result in a dragon clan.
现在在佛陀里面讲龙啊，像那个
The Buddha said
它本身
dragon, like Nagarjuna, belong to the dragon clan.
龙跟蛇不分，
In India, there was no difference between dragons and snakes.
在我们中国来讲，
In China,
本来就是龙族啊。
we are the dragon clan. Chinese are called the dragon clan.
中国人本来就是龙的传人。
We are the descendants of the
龙的传人
dragons.
是龙族嘛。
So that's the dragon
既然是
clan,
龙的
right?
传人，你还怕什么？
So what are you afraid of? You are already
对不对？
the dragon clan.
还有一种，我们称呼老子，孔子称呼老子。
One more thing. The Confucius referred to Lao Tzu.
把它分类，唯有老子不能分。
You can't classify anybody except Lao Tzu
如同神龙，
because
化无穷。
Lao Tzu is like Sen Nong,
老子
which is can transform infinitely.
变化无穷，
So Confucius referred to Lao Tzu
是不可以测的。
as the divine dragon that's
所以佛
immeasurable,
讲在《龙王经》里面
can
提到
transform innumerably.
不专心听上人的
So
说
in
法
the
会
Dragon King
堕入
Sutra
龙
spoken
族
by the Buddha,
会
it
龙
mentioned
树上
that not concentrating in listening to a Guru Dharma teaching will result in a
这
dragon
就是龙
clan,
族啊。
and you would become
中
Nagarjuna,
国人也是龙的传人。
Nagarjuna, dragon or Naga. And the Chinese people are the descendants of the dragon.
这个不专心听上师说法，堕入蛇族，是蛇的话那就不好。
If it's said will result in a snake clan, then that would be bad.
所以我认为，这个佛陀讲的这个龙族，
So what the Buddha said about the dragon clan should be good.
我讲的不知道对不对，
I don't
大
know
家指教。
if what I said was right or wrong.
好啦
Please
再问
advise.
中国的莲花红洞问。
Question from China. 莲花红洞.
师尊闻及时有不明白之处，
Grandmaster,
请师尊慈悲开示。
when I read your book,
师尊在
I have something that I did not understand.
通天之术，
Please explain.
陌生
On your book 204, the divine book, on chapter The Stranger Shiyo, it was written that Shiyo was a person who comprehended the great mystery, which is the same as enlightened. How come he still went to the heaven of helplessness and not liberated from the rebirth cycle?
看上古神话演义里面有这个人，上古神话演义，上古神话演义，谁看过上古神话？
This person was included in the legend of the
看过了几首？
three ancients.
上古神话演义，上古神话演义，因为我父亲看过。
My father had read
放
it.
在他的那个书架。所以
Anybody
我小
else?
时候也拿来看，所以我
And he
看过
put his book on the bookshelf, so I read it. So I knew of this person, Shiyo, during the dynasty of the three ancients, Yao Sun Yu. The three emperors, Yao, Sun, and Yu. The ancient emperor Yao, Sun, Emperor Sun, and Emperor Yu, and Yao and Sun are considered chana, which is a person that's sacred or holy to become emperor. And Yao was about to abdicate, or Sun was about to abdicate. And they knew that this person, Shiyo, was a sage. So they want to come down and let him to become the emperor. But Shiyo did not like to be an emperor. Although he was a sage, he did not like to become an emperor. They asked him to become an emperor. When he heard that, because he did not like to become an emperor, so he went to the river bank and washed his ears, because by hearing that statement, he regarded it as an insult. He just wanted to be a sage and did not want to be an emperor. Because when he heard the phrase emperor, it's very mundane, very lowly. So he washed his ears. And then downriver, there was another sage, and he was drinking that water. And then later, he heard that Shiyu went to the river to wash his ears, and he was also a sage, and he heard that, and then he vomited the water inside his tummy. Therefore, at that time, becoming an emperor was a very lowly, mundane thing that the sages don't care about at all. I'm already a sage, why would I want to become an emperor? But people nowadays, like our American dad, he had to be a president. That's a shameless, lowly, to do those kind of thing. But like us, like sages, they don't care. We don't care about those things. We just look down on those stuff. When you cultivate spiritually and reach the Tao, that's so good. What's so big deal about the president? Despicable thing. And Shiyo was this kind of person. So that's why is he in the Naihe heaven, the heaven of helplessness. If he had become an emperor, he would have helped people, and that meant that he had compassionate heart. You're salvaging sentient beings. That's generating bodhicitta. But you did not generate bodhicitta. You just wanted to become a sage yourself So that's a solitary hearer or Sravaka. That's the highest. So that's why he's only a sage. That's why he's in this heaven of helplessness. That's what I meant. He's an enlightened one, but he did not generate bodhicitta. That's why he's only in the heaven of helplessness. It's also in heavens, but he's always helpless every day. He's a sage. That kind of heaven is called the heaven of helplessness. Now, do you understand? Grandmaster did not care to become an emperor or president. Nowadays, president represents emperor. I don't care, but I'm still helping or salvaging sentient beings. So we are not just a sage, but we are bodhisattva who salvage sentient beings. So that's the answer to the question asked by Lianhua Hongdong from China. A question from Singapore. I would like to ask 3 questions. Someone who has not taken refuge, did not know their own main deity, did not know their protector, did not know their own affinity. What should I prepare before I take refuge? Should I prepare some offering items? So this person has not taken refuge, but he called me Grandmaster. He just followed other people. He has not taken refuge, and he asked, should he prepare some offering items? If you have bought my books in Singapore, at the back of the book it would tell you how to take refuge. You just follow that directive and you can take refuge. Because of the pandemic, it'll be hard for you to come in person. Of course you can, but we have a requirement for you to isolate for 14 days. And you have to be tested as well before you get on the plane. And when you get here, you have to isolate yourself for 14 days. And then you take refuge personally at the Tribudatantic Quarter, and I would grant you the refuge initiation. Otherwise, you can just do a remote empowerment. The remote initiation. You stay home. Should I prepare some offering items? Sure. It's up to you. You can. Just follow how to take refuge. At the back of all of my books, there's the directive. Second question. What kind of 108 chanting beads are considered qualified? Big or small, color, material? what kinds are good. I need it for my practice. 108 chanting beats. This is it. 108 beats total. This one are made of the body beats, the heart-shaped body seeds. This is the body chanting beads. There are many kinds of chanting beads. As long as they are 108 beads, they are all qualified. Doesn't matter how big or small, whatever that suits you, and any color. However, in Tantrayana, you use the white chanting beads for purification. You use red chanting beads for magnetization or love and respect. A blue chanting beads for subjugation, and yellow chanting beads is for merits and fortune, for fortune enrichment. Yellow, blue, white, and red chanting beads. They are different for different practices. And the offering items also different. The red offering items for love and respect, the white offering items for purification, and blue offering items for subjugation, and black is also for subjugation, and yellow offering items to increase your merits and good fortune. So there are different colors for different things. And typically speaking, the body chanting beads is general, can be used for anything. If you use human bones chanting beads in Tantrayana, that's for subjugation. That's for subjugation. Human bones chanting beads. So size, color, material, which ones are best? Whatever suitable for you, that would be best, as long as they are 108 beads. That's for the chanting beads. I welcome this person from Singapore, Chen Wenjie, to take refuge. I went to the grocery to buy things today. I saw a monk pushing a shopping cart really full with stuffs. And I thought, wow, a monk buying so much, so rich. And he pushed his cart to the cashier, and the cashier asked him, so card or cash? And he replied, Amitabha, I come from alms begging.
是行不通的。你在美国
Nowadays, it doesn't work. In America, you go for alms begging.
你去敲人家的门，去踏进人家的
You
这个
knock
院子
on their
敲人家的
doors.
门
You step on someone's
被豁出去是算是
yard. You would be
被人家踢出来
you're lucky enough if you're being kicked out
踏
or
入人家
chased
的家
away.
园人家他有资格
Otherwise,
想把你打死
if you step on other people's property, they have the right to shoot at you.
你到 Costco
You go to Costco
推了那么多东西
and get a cart full of things, and then you say, "Hey, I come here for alms begging."
会被打
You would be beaten to death.
不对好
That's not
这
right.
个要看地方要看地
It
方
depends where.
像台湾呢你
Like in
到
Taiwan,
人家的店里面去阿弥陀佛敲一敲
if you go to someone's shop and knock
台湾很尊敬
and ask, people will still give you something.
进出家人
Taiwanese highly revere
可以的泰国
ordained monks and nuns, not in America, but in Thailand, yes.
排队依照秩序这样子画
You can line up and go for alms begging. Some Thai are very devout and they prepare things, food for the monks, and when they come, they would give them,
他们是这样
make the offering to them.
这是有化缘这件事情台湾还好
So they do have such tradition. And in Taiwan, it's okay too.
香港去化
But
缘
if you go to Hong
看到你
Kong,
都给你吐口水
if they see you, they probably would spit at you.
港人呐很现实
Taiwan, Hong Kongese are
因
very
为看到和尚
materialistic.
我去香港
If they see a monk,
打开
I went to Hong Kong
看到
and the elevator opened and the Hong Kong saw, oh no, the
水啊
monks.
水啊
And they said, oh, bad luck, I would lose
我的
everything.
输光光
Because a shaved head is like losing all the hair, so they're going to lose everything.
输光光了各地风情不同啊
So different place, different tradition.
这在坐飞机遇到乱流
On the plane, we
严重的乱流
encountered the turbulence,
尖叫有的
and it was really bad. Some
做祷告
shouted, cried, some
面
prayed,
不改色
and only one
做
that was expressionless and sat there, not move.
主人员称赞
And after finally the plane landed,
我希望
the
什么礼
flight
品
attendant praised him and asked him what kind of
我只
a
要
price
我只需要
would he want.
换
And he replied, I just need a change of pants.
因为他吓得尿
Because he was so shocked that he
吓
peed
得尿床
in his pants.
好，我们讲这个道果啊
Now we will expound Lamdre.
其内言，其中脉中，以心气进退。
Its inner start of affinity is the mind chi and ambrosia that return and gather at the indiscriminate area inside the central channel.
无分别，
And the mind is empowered and guided to move to the concealed indiscrimination, which is referred as the endurance.
宋林
This is the instruction on the third endurance of the preliminary path. The verse in quote, the way to leave rebirth, end quote.
加
Although the merit accumulation and preliminary paths can give rise to meditation, it does not have the power to evade the suffering and intense sensation of rebirth. Therefore, it is called the rebirth way. The verse in quote, leaving suffering, end quote. Leaving behind the suffering of rebirth is first, which is called leaving suffering, is the non-leaking first verse, the non-leaking first ground. The verse in quote, the path of all Dharma is complete and perfect, end quote, refers to the initial ground's perfect seeing of the path, generated after the complete fulfillment upon the start of affinity of the four correct severances upon the realization in the initial ground. This is the instruction on the foremost method of leaving rebirth and foremost method of the perfect path of nirvana, which are the four positions of the preliminary path. So the first part, its inner start of affinity is the mind qi and ambrosia that return and gather at the indiscriminate area inside the central channel. And the mind is empowered and guided to move to the concealed indiscrimination, which is referred as the endurance. This is the instruction on the third endurance of the preliminary path. This piece is part of the part last week. Last week we were talking about the unborn endurance. Its inner start of affinity is the mind qi and ambrosia that return and gather at the indiscriminate area inside the central channel. The mind or the thoughts and the qi is when you cultivate spiritually using the qi, and you combine the mind and the qi. When qi enters the central channel, that's the convenient qi becomes the wisdom qi. And when the wisdom qi inside the central channels moves up and down due to the mind, it would generate purity. So the first pure division. So the pure division is to differentiate how pure it is from first to 10. Until to reach the indiscriminate area. The mind is empowered and guided to the concealed indiscrimination, and this is called endurance, which is the third endurance of the preliminary path. That's the end of this endurance, the third endurance of the preliminary path. So what is the indiscriminate area, which is very naturalness? Just place the mind to the intrinsic naturalness. Place the qi on the intrinsic naturalness. And at that area, it's indiscriminate. There is no discerning or discrimination.
我跟大家这样子讲，然后再来讲。
That's what I said about this part. And then next is the way to leave rebirth, the merit accumulation and the preliminary paths. We know the paths are divided into: first is the merit accumulation path, second, preliminary path, third is the path of seeing, and fourth is the path of practice, and fifth is the ultimate path. So 5 kinds of paths. So at the beginning are the 2 paths of merit accumulation and preliminary. And what is the merit accumulation path? Before practicing the path, you need to prepare lots of merits, lots of resources, lots of good fortunes, merits. We refer to the merit accumulation path as the merits and virtues. You need to prepare lots of good fortunes, lots of virtues and merits. That's considered the merit accumulation path. Although you have merits and virtues, you have not lived the rebirth, of course. If you practice well, the most you can reach through the merit accumulation path is to the heavens. You cannot leave the rebirth cycle. Only the 4 holy paths can make one abandon the rebirth cycle. So the merit accumulation path cannot let anyone abandon the rebirth cycle. So in Tantrayana we have the 4 preliminary practices: the great offering, great prostration, fourfold refuge, generating bodhicitta, repentance. Those are all the merit accumulation path. They are all part of the merit accumulation path. Although it can generate meditation, there is meditation in these 2 paths as well. When I sit down at the beginning of the practice, they chant and we do one by one. Did I do armor protection? I forgot. In the 70s, sometimes we forget. Although you give rise to meditation, in the practice earlier, did I meditate or was it drowsiness? Or did I enter into the realm of indiscrimination? I am not clear about it. So what does it mean by I cannot tell? That's non-discerning, indiscrimination. But it does not have the power to evade the suffering and intense sensation of rebirth. That's why it's called the rebirth way. Therefore, merit accumulation and preliminary paths are still considered this rebirth. If you have perfect merits and virtues, you would go to heaven. When your preliminary path is perfect, you go to heaven. because the so-called 4 preliminary practices
修资粮，修你的那个你的福分，
is to practice your good
大
fortune,
大法，就福分
like great mandala offering, so that you become very
做
fortunate.
大礼拜
When you perform great prostration,
是等于是说用最低下的位置
to use
修最上层，
the lowest point to practice the highest thing,
皈依的意思有皈
to
依
take
大礼拜
refuge.
也有皈依的意思，有皈依
So in performing
圣贤 还
prostration,
不能圣贤
it has the meaning of taking refuge in the sages. So it's taking refuge or relying.
大供养，
So great offering, great prostration, and for food refuge, it is
依
also
估你的上师，
is by
依估佛法
take
僧
relying on your guru, dharma, Buddha, dharma, and
发菩提
sangha,
心也是刚刚开始而已，
and generating bodhicitta is also just the beginning.
忏悔
Repentance,
轮回法，
they all call the rebirth
没有
way.
办法去阻止轮回的痛苦及猛烈的感受，
So it cannot stop
这两个道还
the suffering and intense sensation of
重
rebirth
出苦，
in these two
出
paths.
轮回苦之事第
And
一
the verse
出，
in quote, leaving suffering,
也就是出轮回法的开始，
that's the
要离开轮
beginning
回的开始了，叫出苦。
of leaving the rebirth cycle.
真正的无漏，
That's
所以
non-leaking.
六神通里面有个
So,
漏尽通，
of the 6 transcendent powers,
全部尽了，
the transcendent power of non-leaking,
成就
which is all leakages are stopped so that you become non-leaking,
最高的
that would be the highest kind of transcendent power. That means you have some
无漏之
attainment.
初地，就第一步
So that's the first ground or initial ground
就
of
是
non-leaking.
资粮道跟加行道，颂吟
That's the merit recognition and preliminary paths.
为
The
现
verse in
出地
quote,
正
the
悟
path of
是
all
正
dharma is complete and perfect, end
以
quote,
下无疑
refers to the initial grounds, perfect seeing of the path, generated after the complete fulfillment upon the strata of affinity of the 4 correct severances upon the realization in the initial ground. So, seeing the path.
生出地见到完全，你把资粮道跟家庭道、加行道修严，
So, after you perfectly
离开轮回
completed the merit acclamation and preliminary paths,
要离开轮回，
and you're about to leave the rebirth cycle,
就是
that's called leaving suffering.
开始进入见道、资
So,
粮道、
when you initially enter the path of seeing the path, which is the third path, you start to have some realizations
那时
and
候才算见道。
enlightenment.
如此呢，以出轮回法是四谛及涅盘道法圆满等之四谛。
This is the instruction on the foremost method of leaving rebirth and the foremost method of the perfect path of
大
nirvana,
家讲到
which are the 4 positions of the preliminary path.
才能够再进入见道，那个时候称为出
In order
见道。
to enter into the path of seeing, which is the initial ground.
所以见道很重要，开悟。
That's why seeing the path is important, enlightenment is important.
师尊因为是见道，
Clear Master, because of seeing the
你会有
path,
什么感觉？
what kind of feelings or sensation
至少某一些东西。
or spiritual experience you would
人间世界的
experience
东
after
西
seeing the path?
就可以看
You
得
will not be attached to
只要
anything.
出轮回了，
You see everything lightly in this
为什么
world.
你会看得很
That's
淡
when
很
you're
淡
about to leave the rebirth cycle.
房子也不是
Why do you take all of those lightly? Because the houses don't
你
belong
以
to
为我
you.
买了房子，我
You thought that, oh, I bought a house. Now I have a house.
蜗的蜗牛，
Now I'm a snail with my home,
有壳的
with
我有
shell.
壳，但是那个壳还不是你的，
But that shell is not yours
你的身体
either.
会坏啊
They can deteriorate. Even your body can go bad.
什么东西不会坏？你最执着的是什么东西？
So
一个是
what
财，
things that will not go bad? What are you most
房子
attached
都是
to?
会坏的，
Money.
会老的，车子也会老的，
The houses will
钻
go
石虽然
old.
不会老，
The cars will go old.
最终只是借你呆看几十年，一样
They're
也不是
only for you to borrow for a few
都不是
decades.
你的东西，
They don't belong
包
to
括
you.
你身
They
体
never
是你的
belong
东
to you.
西，
Even your bodies don't belong to you.
财色，
Money and
以
then
为你能够撑
looks
多久？
and forms.
色你能够
How
撑
long
多
can
久？
you keep them up?
以前我父亲啊，
In the
去看
past,
动手术，
my dad
把他的射护线
had the surgery
射护线回大，整个拿射护
to
线拿
take
掉。
care of his prostrate.
我父亲跟我讲，
My
他
dad
的
told
希望
me
剩下吃，
all
因为色没有，
the desire that he had left was only
色尾
food,
也会没有的。
no more sex desire.
财
It's going to be gone too. You're not attached to money anymore.
房子也不是你的，都会坏。
Cars,
那
houses
不会坏，
are not
但
yours.
是借你
They
呆
will
看，
go bad. Even diamonds, they don't go bad, but
那就
they're
是财
only
不执着了，
loaned to you for a
不
while.
执着了。
So you have no
再来，色。
attachment to them. And then
有一天你也会没有，
sex. One day you will not have it anymore
到时
either.
候剩下什么？
What's left then?
名跟实，你有名的欲望吗？
Name,
名的欲望我也没有，
recognition,
名的欲
name.
望我也没有。
I have none of
叫我
that.
当什么当什么，让
Asking me to be this or that or giving me certain price or recognition, I don't need them.
你自己成就要紧。
It's more
任何
important
人
for
颁
you
奖
to have
给你都没有
attainments.
用的，
It's useless for
讲都没
anybody
有用的。
to give you any
你喜
recognition.
欢拿那个川普的总统奖吗？
Do you want to have
你拿到川普的总统奖有什么用？
Trump's presidential prize? What use is that?
变成污秽了你自己呀、
That would contaminate you instead.
对不对？拿到那个奖啊，一把火烧了，
I'll just burn it,
像洗油一样啊。
just like
听
Shio.
到说要颁奖给我，就洗耳朵。
When I heard that they would give me a prize, I would wash my ears.
吐出来
And even the next sage who drank the water, he
捂住了他
had
的
to vomit it out. He washed his ears because he felt that that statement insulted his ears. So name and possession are
再
useless.
来就是食，我爸爸讲
And then food.
好吃，
My dad said it.
有一天你不会好吃，
Loving to eat. You know, one day you don't have it anymore. You will not
少
have it.
盐，少
Why?
糖，少
Less low salt, low
医
sugar,
生叫你
low
少
fat.
少盐，
The doctor's advice.
这个清淡的，没有
You
味
have
道的。
to eat light
你如果得了肾脏病，
diet, tasteless.
火盐都不能吃，
If you have problems with your kidneys, you cannot
你
take
得了
any
心脏
salt.
病，
If you have
你
heart
糖都不
problems,
能吃，
you cannot eat any
得了糖
sugar.
尿病，
If you have diabetes,
只有假糖可以吃，
you can only eat
真的糖都不能吃。
artificial sweeteners. You cannot take any
你多吃油，
sugar. or sweet. You cannot take too much fat either.
你食的欲望也会没。
So one day you will not crave any food
这时
anymore,
候你就
or no more desire for food.
快要见到，
You know, at that moment you're close to seeing the path.
为什么快要见到了？
Why?
你什么都不执着了嘛。
Because you're not attached to anything anymore.
我写了一篇文章，就是老
I have written an
老了，
article,
本来想
old,
写一本书，就是七训生人，七训生人
I will
速缓，速缓，就把自己的心法讲出来。
I will
已经70
write a
岁了
book called
七训生人，
the
七训老
the thoughts
七训老
of
速缓，写这一
of an elderly in his 70s.
为什么要写这本书呢？就是当你到70几岁，做一个很老的出家人的时候，
Why do I want to write such a book?
的所有的结受全部把它写成一本书。
Like when you have reached your 70s and you would write everything that you experience into a book.
啊，什么都可以
Nothing's gone. You don't have any more ideals. Anything is fine.
你骂我
Anything's fine.
我就是狗屎，
Even when you call me dog shit, then I am a dog shit. So what?
我就是都不，
I am a dog poo.
没有问题，没有问题，我可以，我可以，我可以接受。
I can accept it.
你骂我脑残，脑筋残废啊，
You call me a retard.
我也无所谓。
I'm
脑
fine.
残就脑残，
It's fine. Just call me brain dead. Then I'm brain dead. Doesn't
因
matter.
为人死了，脑残有附在他身上
Because
也无所谓啊，本来就脑残嘛，
when you're dead, doesn't matter. Brain dead is fine.
什么都可以，
Anything is
什么都不
fine.
要紧，什么都无所
Anything
谓
is okay. Anything is no big deal. Doesn't matter. Then you're very close to seeing the path.
开悟就是这样子来。
You know, enlightenments come about this way.
你还执着什么？
What is it that you're still attached to? Then you would suffer because of it.
你懂不懂？
You will not be able to leave suffering.
因
Do
为
you
你太喜
understand?
自己的生命，
Why can't you leave behind suffering? Because you love your life too much. You're still too attached to your life.
得了那个冠状病毒死了，
You know, when Grandmaster
爽得
Lu
很啊！
gets coronavirus and
我
dies,
才不理。
I would be really happy
不管
I don't care
得到冠状病毒
if I get
哈
coronavirus.
哈笑几声，
Ha ha ha.
那算了，
That's fine.
了不起。
Might as well die. No big
我
deal.
不珍惜我自己的生命，为什么？
I don't value my own life.
说你的生命，你为
I
什
am
么
not
生命
attached to my own life. Why? Because of enlightenment. If you like
做
your
以
own
色
life,
以色所苦，
then you would suffer because
你
of
还
it.
贪什么？你为贪所苦。
If you're still attached to woman, then you would suffer. If you still get angry, then you would suffer because of it.
活着就是苦啊！
They're all sufferings. As long as you live,
边啊
then there would be suffering. That's why we say that the ocean of suffering is boundless, and only when you reach the shore that you would be peaceful. And why do you want this physical body?
是最棒的。
Because this physical body brings suffering. If you don't want, you discard your physical body. That would
才
be
是真正的爽
better. And Master Li Xingzhu told me that only after I die, I feel really happy. I would be carefree and I can go anywhere.
自在啊！
Only then that would be called self-mastery.
真的把自己
But having this physical body, you have no self-mastery. You bound yourself.
要懂得这
So you need to understand this concept in order to see the path. What is abandoning attachments to self and attachment to everything? Then you completely eliminate them, and then you completely eliminate all afflictions. Only then it is called seeing the path. That's what Lamdre said. It's excellent. Do you understand? Do you understand? Seeing the path? What I just talked about was realizing the path. Right? The patient on his sick bed told the nurse, I have no more romantic love, no more family love, no more friendship, no more money. I have nothing at all. The sick person said, and the nurse used very kind words, told him, listening to you said, how come you have no self-confidence at all, but you still have sickness? This joke is to teach you to see the path. When a person has a terminal illness on his sick bed, his thoughts should be toward seeing the path. The body is gone, love is gone, desire is gone, name is gone, friends gone, money is gone. The only thing that you have is the path or the way or Tao. At that time, if there's Tao inside your mind or heart, when there's a clear light radiance inside it, then you can be reborn into the Pure Land. Om Mani Padme Hum.